With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
Hi, and welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I'm the Executive Director of the National Street Food Vendors Association, which is a nonprofit dedicated to education, advocacy, and uplifting all food vendors. Today I'm going to be talking about a little hack that a lot of people share on the internet, saying how awesome this hack is, and I'm going to explain to you why it's not awesome and why you're going to make somebody sick if you do this hack. But before we get into that, I want to remind you guys I'm going to be in Edison, New Jersey. I'm going to be part of the Food Truck Owners Expo. I'll be giving 2 classes there. I will be out on the main expo floor after the education in the morning is over. And you guys can join me in my National Street Food Vendors Association booth. You can ask questions. You can share your success stories. You can hang out with other awesome food truck owners. And you can just sit and talk to all of my team that'll be there in Edison, New Jersey. Again, that's going to be December 2nd and 3rd, 2025. Go to FTOexpo.com, place the order for the tickets today, and when you do, put in the code FTTG15 for a 15% discount. Now, let's talk about this hack. People often get surface oxidation on their stainless steel, on their griddle, and just about anything else because the stainless steel that's being made today is using a different formula that they used 20 or 30 years ago. It's one of the reasons why it's lighter, but also gets a little bit of surface oxidation on it from time to time. So one of the hacks when you go to food truck groups, not mine, because I will not allow it, but you go to these other food truck groups, you go to Reddit, for example, and there'll be big, long threads about how you should use WD-40, keep that oxidation away. Well, you can't do that. So let me share a little story. About this time last year, I was visiting a food truck. The guy recognized me, which is a pretty cool feeling. You step up to a food truck, hoping to order some food as I peer inside to see how they're doing. And the guy recognizes me before I even can place an order. Oh, Bill, I got to show you my food truck. Hey, please, thank you so much. Okay, calm down. I'm just a person, but sure, show me your food truck. So he opens up the back door and he shows me all around his food truck. And I said, wow, your counters are really shiny. How are you doing that? I'm not a big fan of polishes. Never have been. I hated when they made us do it in restaurants, and I actually wouldn't order the stuff because it's a cleaning supply, and I'm not going to have my cleaning supply budget blown by getting stainless steel polish that you have to put on and then take off the next morning. It makes no sense to spend the hourly labor to polish everything to make it shine when there's not a human being in the world going to see it, and then the next morning the opening staff has to go back over and wash, rinse, and sanitize that counter before they can prep on it. So why are we using stainless polish? But anyway, he says, let me show you this hack. I read it on Reddit. I said, okay. Now I'm a little worried because Reddit is nothing but opinions and most of them are wrong. So he whips out a can of WD-40 and starts spraying on the counter. And I'm like, whoa, you're open. It's okay. Everybody does it. And then he shows me, you put it on, wipe it off, and look at this shine. Like, okay, dude, you got a problem. I said, just read on the can and tell me where it says it's food safe. And of course, it doesn't say that on WD-40 because that's for the garage. It's not for a food truck. He says, oh, it's no big deal. Everybody does it. And I said, well, I don't do it and I'm a body, so not everybody does it. And I certainly don't recommend anyone to do it. Why do you think you've never seen that on my Facebook group? I don't allow it. It's not an acceptable procedure. WD-40 is not food safe. Use it for your nuts and bolts. Use it to oil something, but don't put it on your counter and think, oh, look at the shine. Because you're going to make somebody sick. So he said, it's no big deal, I promise. Okay, fine. He said, what would you like to eat? And I said, well, nothing. I'll be happy to take a bottle of water or a canned drink, but I really don't want any food. Now, I did want food because I was hungry, but because of the way that he was liberally spraying this WD-40 everywhere, I didn't want to take a chance that it was on his griddle, that the overspray got on some food where he's wrapping sandwiches or into the paper products. I did not want to take that chance. So I just said, no thanks. I'll take a bottle of water. Here's a couple dollars. You have a great day. Well, that was about this time last year. So about 2 months later, he calls me up and says, hey, I had a health inspection. And I was thinking, okay, great. The health inspector didn't notice the WD-40, didn't notice that petroleum smell, and passed you. And that was not the case. The health inspector noticed the WD-40 when they looked up under the sink because they just wanted to see how clean it was up underneath the sink where he hid his WD-40. And the health inspector grabs that can and says, hey, what do you do with this? And he did exactly what he did with me. He sprayed some on the counter and showed how shiny it made the counter. And then the health inspector promptly wrote him up and said, you can't do that. That's not food safe. That's not something that you should be putting on your counters, especially while you're open, because of the overspray, and it's not a food safe product. He says, so now what you need to do is wash, rinse, and sanitize that area and any other area that you've applied WD-40 to today, and then we'll continue with the inspection. So he wrote him up, took off the points. Guy didn't get 100. He was a little bit mad because, it says so on Reddit. You can use it. It says so on half the food truck groups because some nut will say, yeah, you WD-40. It works. You can grab a can of oil that you could use in your car engine and it will make your stainless shine. It doesn't mean you want to use it where you're selling food. Read the labels. So anyway, he's a little bit perturbed that he lost points. I said, hey, just get rid of the can. You'll be fine. Everybody does it. Okay, well, your health inspector now knows, here's what's going to happen before, most people don't know this, but before they even set foot on your food truck, food trailer, your restaurant, they look at the last inspection that was done, whether they did it or someone else did it. They're looking to make sure that whatever was marked off the last time isn't a repeat offender offense. And if it is, in some states, it's double points. So something that you would have lost 5 points on for being critical, now you're going to lose 10. Something you would have lost 1 point on, if it's still a problem this time, they're taking away 2. Double the points. They want you to take serious when they give you instruction to correct something. Well, he continued to ignore me and now his health inspector. And you're going, well, he's not too bright. Well, you're right. There's a whole bunch of food truck owners out there that think they know better than people that are trained on food safety. So he called me up just a couple, and I do mean literally a couple of months ago, and asked me, what does it mean when it says I have to have an administrative hearing? And I said, you didn't have the health inspector find that WD-40 a second time. He goes, yeah, he did. And you admitted you're still using it? Yeah, I did. Okay. An administrative hearing means that you're going to have to go in front of some type of official from the health department. Could be what they term a judge or an adjudicator. Could just be a supervisor. But this administrative hearing, they're going to ask you why you ignored something you've been marked off 2 times. He said, so what does that mean? I said, well, depends on how you act. They could just fine you. How much? I said, I'm not sure what your state's fines run, but it could be a low amount, a couple $100, could be a big amount, a couple $1,000. It just depends on how they marked it, whether it was critical or not. And the fact that you're still doing it means you're most likely going to lose. They may slap your hands and just say, don't do it again. If you do it again, it's going to be a huge fine. Or they could just go ahead and fine you now. It really does just depend. He said, no, they're not going to fine me. I said, oh, they can. Just go through some of your competitors' health inspections, especially look at restaurants. Just look for administrative hearing on those reports because that becomes public record, searchable, and then you can see what they were fined. He said, oh, I'm going to do that. I said, well, you may not want to do it because it's only going to make you more nervous and upset. Because typically when they take somebody for an administrative hearing, especially a mom and pop, it can be very, very serious because that means you've ignored them 2 times and they have no reason to believe you're all of a sudden going to see the light and change. They gave you 2 opportunities to change and the operator chose not to. So the bottom line is WD-40 is not food safe. It's not a hack. It's not some genius thing that somebody came up with. It's some idiotic thing that somebody's lazy and goes, oh, look, it makes the counter shiny. I'll tell everybody how awesome this is. If you're running a garage and you have a lot of stainless steel in your garage and you ain't selling food, pour WD-40 all over it. There are less expensive and will go farther products that are designed to shine your stainless and give it a little protective coating if you are so hell-bent on making your stuff shiny. Here's what I do. This is what I've done in my restaurants. This is what I do on my food truck. I don't use polish. I hate polish. I hate to apply it only to have to take it back off the next morning. I hate that repetitive nonsense. So what we do is we use Windex. Windex has ammonia. Ammonia cuts grease. Spray it down and wipe it off. If you have a lot of grease, well, that means you're too lazy throughout the day. You should be wiping things down. Oh, I'm busy. No, you're not busy. You're lazy. Wipe stuff down. Clean as you go. There's a reason that we have that as a mantra in the food service industry. Clean as you go. And then all you do is spray it, wipe it down with Windex, and look at that, shiny, without a petroleum film. Then go through the normal procedures in the morning and get yourself prepping. Don't waste the time and money, because if you've got glass, which I know you do, or at least plexiglass, you're going to need a Windex anyway. If you don't have a Windex, how are you cleaning your windows? It's a simple procedure. Don't use WD-40. If you're going to have it in a toolbox, and don't spray it on food surfaces. Use it to loosen nuts and bolts, because that's what it's for, and that's what it's really good at. But it's not for you to put on your counters. It's not for you to use as a hack. Oh, look, oxidation. WD-40. Doesn't work that way. Thank you guys so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. If you're finding everything helpful that we do, please consider subscribing. If you love what we do, show some support. There's a link in the description to make that happen. Until next time, you guys have a profitable day.